Now, as I explained on my online course, when you're doing any sort of presentation at school, at university, at work, you need some sort of notes that's going to help you remember three things: what you need to say, how you're going to say it, and when to say it. But maybe you're thinking, why can't I do it like those stand-up comedians? Like if you look at an hour Netflix special, none of them need notes. They go on forever and not at any point do they look at any notes. If you see them live, it's even worse. They just stand there for 2 hours chatting and chatting and chatting, and not once do they look at any sort of form of notes whatsoever. So what's their secrets? Well, there's three reasons why they're able to do this. The first reason is they don't have to memorize any sort of script. What they do is they have a general idea of what they talk about, and they have this amazing ability to say the same thing in various different ways. So they're not trying to memorize a long 2-hour monologue. They're just trying to memorize ideas that can be expressed in different ways. The second thing is, usually stand-up comedians tell you a story. They rarely go from telling you a joke about a car to telling you a joke about anything else, race for example, without some sort of logical segue, usually another type of joke. So what we're saying here is that everything they say throughout the 1 hour, 2 hour stand-up comedy special they're doing, there's going to be something that links the ideas together. And that's very important when you're trying to remember something to say. If one thing allows you to remember the thing that follows, that's very useful. The third point is that nobody rehearses more than stand-up comedians. And they always rehearse in the most awful circumstances. They go to small pubs, they go to small bars, and they rehearse in front of small audiences. They're very close to them. They really put themselves through it when they're rehearsing. And they rehearse so many times. And when they rehearse, they'll tell the same joke over and over and over again. But they'll tell it in slightly different ways. And they'll see the audience's reaction. Did that way make them laugh more? Or did this way make them laugh more? And then they take the one that obviously got the most reaction. So those 3 points allow them to be able to present a show for 2 hours without needing any notes. Now, when you have a presentation, I highly recommend that you do use some sort of notes, especially if you're talking about something quite technical, if you're doing your university thesis presentation, or if you're talking numbers with the boss about profit. Please use some notes. But here's what we can learn from these stand-up comedians. First, don't use a script. You don't want something that's rigid, that you have to learn by heart, word for word. That is too hard, that is too demanding. What you do want to do, however, just like I explained in my online course, is that you want to use an outline that'll tell you what, how, and when. So no scripts. Then, when you do your outline, make sure you put the ideas in the right order, in an order that is logical. One idea should help you remember what the next idea is going to be. And if that's not the case, you need to rearrange it. You need to make sure that that happens. And finally, rehearse. Rehearse and rehearse again. In front of various audiences. Drag your family out. Drag your parents out. Do the presentation in front of them. Put yourself in situ, in the worst possible condition. Trust me, there's nothing more daunting than having to do your presentation in front of a tiny audience that's looking to pick at the things that you're doing wrong. Most importantly, when you are rehearsing in front of an audience, be prepared for their reaction. At the end, ask them what it is that you could have done better. How can you improve what you just have said? How can you improve the way you've said things, when you said things, what you said? Ask them, did you make it engaging? Even though they might not be interested in the subject, were they attracted by the way that you were expressing things?